So what is going on, guys? We're going to be looking at Hurricanes Danielle and Tropical Storm Earl. We're going to be looking at both of them and what we're going to be expecting over the next few days with those storms. So right now we got Hurricane Danielle here in the middle of the Atlantic, which is expected to be a hurricane over the next few days. We'll likely see that through Wednesday. We'll begin to weaken into a tropical storm, likely become extra tropical by Friday morning as it speeds up heading eastward towards Azores in Europe. Whether or not it will even bring impacts to Europe is yet to be seen, but we do see it'll begin to slowly speed up as it is a really slow moving storm right now. In fact, just 1 miles per hour moving right now. But it is presently a hurricane with maximum winds 80 miles per hour. We'll see that curve into the northeast, and eventually we'll start to see that speed up over the next day or two. And that's when we'll start to see a little bit of weakening possibly. Earl, we do see it'll start to strengthen over the next couple days. It will continue to do so through the end of the 5-day period. It is likely going to become a hurricane by Tuesday morning. As it continues to head northward, it will curve a little bit to the east at some point. But we know from that, other than maybe some minor impacts right now to Puerto Rico and surrounding areas, I'm not expecting any land impacts after that. And it will continue to strengthen with time, and it will eventually, according to this forecast here, become a major hurricane, Category 3, by Friday morning, southeast of Bermuda. Danielle, for a little bit here, we're going to be looking at what models think on the intensity. It will probably strengthen just a little bit more before it will start peaking, likely around day 2, which will probably be like Tuesday, and then it will start to downtrend after that. So looking at this here, we'll most likely see somewhere around 75 knots, which basically equates to about 85 miles per hour. So that's the peak intensity in my opinion. And then it'll start downtrending after that. And it'll probably still be somewhere around tropical strength in the next week. But it'll probably dissipate really soon after that. So now we're going to go to Earl and see how the models would think. Models think on the intensity here. We're going to be seeing a slow increase, which will eventually speed up with time over the next few days. Models show it will likely become a hurricane around Tuesday or so, and then it'll continue to strengthen after that into a Category 2, possibly even a Category 3 hurricane. And one model even has it all the way well into Category 4, and that's not going to happen though. We're most likely at best going to see maybe a Category 3 hurricane, possibly just an upper end Category 2. But I definitely agree with the National Hurricane Center's forecast, which has it going to Category 3 and then probably starting to weaken after that, as the models do see here right after the 5-day mark. So I'm going to say later in the week, yeah, it'll start to weaken a little bit and might even continue to do that with time. We could still have it a hurricane for a little while though. So it's really something to watch over the next week or so, with Earl expecting to become a hurricane, possibly a major hurricane. So now let's see where models actually take. So we have our hurricane and tropical storm right now in the Atlantic. Let's see how this whole thing evolves. So we do see here that we'll continue to see some eastward motion, northeastern motion with Danielle, and it'll start to weaken after that. So I'm going to say we're likely going to see a peak early Wednesday, and then it'll start to weaken after that. But GFS is really overdoing these hurricanes. It'll continue to strengthen, and then I don't know, somewhere around here, maybe even probably a little bit weaker than this. It'll be like somewhere between Thursday and Friday. We'll probably see this storm peaking. If not, just some point over Friday, and then weaken after that. But it might try to linger around for a while, as we do see that. We could get another disturbance with that as well, with something else down here. I'm not exactly sure, but so far models aren't really impressive with that. As you can see here, it will really just dissipate over the next after about a week or so. So it's really something to look out on, along with these hurricanes that we're going to be dealing with over the next week. And so when we're looking at the satellite imagery of Earl, we can definitely see it has quite some convection going on with some deep correction and forming on the outer edges of it, such as over here by Puerto Rico, where we're probably going to see a little bit of impacts. But overall, it's definitely looking quite a tropical storm that's going on, which will only strengthen further into hurricane, even a major hurricane, as we were discussing earlier. But yeah, it's definitely quite something to be looking into. And then again, this we have this impressive image right here, which will also seem to have an eye right over here, which probably you can tell already. We do have that surrounding convection that's pulsing around that eye, and as you can tell, it's gonna probably continue doing so. Again, not gonna see much strengthening at this point, but again, it is a hurricane right now, so we do see it has kind of that hurricane look to it. But then again, it's a little further north, I would say, but that's kind of why we might have this kind of structure. But if it was further south, it'd probably be more impressive. But then again, we do have a hurricane with this right now. So we're also going to be watching both these hurricanes at the same time. So it's really something to keep an eye on, really, for the next few days. So looking at your Labor Day forecast, we're going to be looking at, so while we're at Sunday now, we're going to be seeing some rain for today and tonight across portions near Ohio Valley and also some of the Appalachians region. While mostly dry across the western and the central U.S. and much of the Great Lakes, we'll probably see some stuff going on down the Gulf Coast and also in the southeast, but other than that, we're going to be looking at Labor Day now. So while much of the region will be dry, maybe many of those same areas will likely be dealing with some more rain, including portions of the northeast, the Ohio Valley, Appalachians region, possibly some pop-ups throughout the Ohio Valley and portions of the southeast. And we'll see some of that rain to occur possibly in some portions of the Gulf Coast, including the Gulf Coast of Texas, Louisiana. Other than that, we could see some pop-ups going on across southeast throughout Labor Day on Monday. But other than that, mostly dry across the entirety of the west and much of the central U.S. and the Great Lakes. Seeing some dangerous heat across southwest continuing, and along with another heat wave that's likely popping up across the plains, with highs widespread across the 90s throughout the plains, including especially centering on Nebraska, Colorado, South Dakota, while we see heat surrounding that as well. So anywhere in the 80s, we'll likely see that across southeast and really all the plains. But really the heat will be at its rarest across southwest, where we'll even see some triple digits, possibly some 110s as well, according to this forecast here from the NWS. Not too hot across the Great Lakes region and the surrounding areas, as well as the Northeast, which will probably just be sitting in 70s. Some areas could even be stuck in the 60s across the Northeast region. But other than that, that's your forecast for today. Okay, so thank you guys for watching today's video. If you want to stay updated and even get some of our live weather coverage as we need it, why not consider subscribing to this channel as you can stay updated, which brings us our latest honest forecast to you from us. Stay safe everyone, have a good day. Until then, see you next time.